Shields up, Iron Breakers. Burkan here coming at you with another video. Welcome back to Monster Hunter World Iceborne, and today I figured I'd share what the game looks like when it's running on a PlayStation 5. Now, I'd actually done all of these tests the day after I got the console because I did a live stream on Twitch and I wanted to test out all of these different things. I wanted to test out resolution mode. I wanted to see if you could play with players from PlayStation 4, if all of that stuff was working seamlessly, if the load times were faster, and all of that stuff. And today I did a little bit more testing in order to actually, make a video and tell you guys about all of the things that I've noticed when you are playing Monster Hunter World Iceborne on PlayStation 5 hardware. So first things first, some of you guys are going to be wondering, okay, so is my save going to work? Like, how's all of that stuff going to work? Well, if you get a PlayStation 5, if you have the digital version of Monster Hunter World, you'll be able to download it just straight off of PSN, as is expected that you would be. If you have the physical version, you should be able to install it just fine if you have the disc version of the PlayStation 5. And I say should be because right now I still only have the digital version of Monster Hunter World Iceborne, but I did install Dark Souls Remastered onto my PlayStation 5 with a PS4 disc, so I would assume that pretty much all of the other PS4 discs will work just fine as well, because, you know, they already said this is backwards compatible. It was just like more of a formality for me to test that stuff out. So Dark Souls Remastered worked fine, so I would assume pretty much any PS4 game that you have, unless it's on that very short list of games that are not supported, it should be fine as well. And Monster Hunter World Iceborne is most definitely supported. Now, when you install it, you might have to manually download your save from the cloud, assuming that you have PSN or whatever. Otherwise, you might just import your save from a USB stick, which I assume would also work just fine because a lot of the system stuff from PlayStation 5 is extremely similar to PlayStation 4, so pretty much all of the functionalities that you had on the PS4 are also present on the PlayStation 5. So even if you don't have PS Plus, it should be fairly easy for you to get your save from a USB stick and then put it on the PlayStation 5 and then just get it out of there that way. If you actually install the game, like if you put it to download and then you set your console to rest, then by the time that you wake up your console with the game installed, you might even already have your save file on there because it does the automatic save syncing that you already had on PlayStation 4. So all of that stuff is also working, so it should be a fairly seamless transition from PlayStation 4 to PlayStation 5 when it comes to Monster Hunter World Iceborne. And I would also like to report that it seems that Capcom actually did a really good job when they were programming Monster Hunter World Iceborne, because it appears to be prepared to take advantage of having better hardware available to it. Whereas there are some games that I've tested that don't really do this. Like one thing that stuck out like a sore thumb and I was very disappointed with was actually Bloodborne, because Bloodborne is pretty much stuck at 30 FPS, at least for now, until they come up with a patch for it or something. But for now, in the first week or so of the console being available to people, and I say that with air quotes because we all know that the availability of the PlayStation 5 is extremely limited. I'm well aware of that. But basically, you know, first week into the PlayStation 5's launch, Bloodborne still has not been patched to take full advantage of the hardware, so it still runs at 30 FPS. It still only runs at 1080p, and the 1080p doesn't even bother me that much. It's just the fact that it's still stuck at 30 FPS. I was just like, oh man, there are other titles that run good, like Dark Souls 3, Sekiro, all those titles run great. But Bloodborne, yeah. Anyway, we're talking about Iceborne, and like I said, Capcom did a really good job. So you're able to basically get in there, and if you do frame rate, you're gonna get 60 FPS. Like, because there's three options whenever you're selecting the visuals for Monster Hunter World Iceborne. You have frame rate, resolution, and graphics. Now, you guys might be wondering, what's the difference between resolution and graphics? Well, graphics is more about like particle effects and stuff like that, and, you know, really pushing out as many particle effects as possible. At least that's the main difference that I notice, is that there's more particles whenever you go to graphics. And resolution is to actually have higher resolution textures. And in my opinion, the one that looks best on PlayStation 5 is resolution. So that is probably the footage that you guys are going to be watching here, but I did test a little bit of graphics, but to be honest, it's not as demanding as resolution. Now, resolution, I'm not entirely sure what the resolution is because I would need special software like the one that the Digital Foundry has. Digital Foundry have like the good software that can give you the exact like frame rates on consoles and resolution that something is running at. I don't have that, so all I can tell you is that it's somewhere between 1440p and 4K. I don't know exactly what technology they're using. If they're using like the checkerboard technology or whatever, it might just be straight up 4K. All I can tell you is that it looks really good. You guys can see the footage. I am recording at 1440p because, for those of you that are not aware, one of the things that I realized when I was live streaming Demon's Souls is that my streaming PC is actually not capable of properly capturing and or streaming 4K footage, which I was kind of caught off guard by that. I thought it was going to be powerful enough to do that, but it's not. So I have to make a couple of concessions here and there. And one of those is, for now, the footage that I record is going to be at 1440p. But anyway, as you guys can see from the footage in this video, the game not only looks gorgeous, it also runs great. It also has faster load times, but I do believe that they're not taking advantage of the PlayStation 5's proprietary technology. I'm not going to get into too many technical details here, but if you guys watched the GDC talk that Sony uploaded onto their channel, they explained some of the stuff that they did around their storage technology and why it's like super fast and why it has to be 825 gigabytes or whatever. And, you know, basically they explained that this is really, really fast. And one of the reasons why I'm saying that I feel like they're still not taking advantage of the technology is because when you see the loading screens on something like Miles Morales or Demon's Souls, it is blazing fast, like way faster than Monster Hunter. I feel like right now, Monster Hunter World is probably just, you know, getting through almost like if it was a regular SSD. And I feel that if Capcom does like a patch or something to actually take full advantage of Sony's proprietary technology, then you're going to have even faster loading times than we have right now. Like I said, the game does load faster than it did on the PlayStation 4 Pro, but I still believe it can load significantly faster than it does at this point. Now, in terms of compatibility with PS4, that might be something that people are wondering. Am I still going to be able to play with my friends that are on the PS4? Yes, I tested that stuff day one. All of that works pretty much flawlessly. So then the next step that I figured that I would take with these tests is like, okay, let's go to the monster that really put my PlayStation 4 Pro through the ringer. Maybe you guys have different experiences with Monster Hunter World Iceborne, but in my case, the monster that I would really see the console struggle with was Lunastra, because of all of those different particle effects that she has whenever she's like charging up her aura, whenever she does her Nova. All of those different particle effects would basically turn my PS4 Pro in full airplane mode, and it would actually trigger the dynamic resolution that Monster Hunter World Iceborne has, which I believe it has. Again, I don't have all the technical information, but just by looking at the footage, I could see that like when you start the fight, there's one resolution, and then when all the special effects start going off and whatnot, I could clearly see, okay, you're definitely lowering the resolution dynamically, because you could tell that there was less definition on Lunastra and whatnot. So from my experience, that was definitely one of the most demanding fights that I've had. So I figured, okay, we'll take her to the Guiding Lands, which already has a pretty beefy loading screen, so that I can test the Guiding Lands loading screen that way as well. And then I'll summon her into Volcano area, which in and of itself already has like the explosions, the particle effects everywhere, and all of that stuff coupled together with her effects. That should really, you know, push out as much visual detail and really push out as much of the game as possible. And it was fine. It was 60 FPS throughout the whole thing. You guys are probably watching the fight right now in the video if I did a good job editing it. And it ran great. There were no problems whatsoever. After that, I figured, you know what, let's try an online hunt. Let's try to jump into an SOS where there's 4 other players, so that the game has to render, you know, 4 additional players and just all of their abilities and all of the special effects of whatever they happen to be doing. And then on top of it, by luck, there are also 2 monsters in there, and 2 monsters that are reasonably fast jumping around. It was the 2 doggos. So I was like, this is perfect. I joined that group and I went in there and I wailed on the doggos. No problem. Also, I don't know how many of them were playing on PS4, how many of them were playing on PS5. Because do remember that right now, well, actually, they couldn't be playing with the PlayStation. I was going to bring up the PlayStation Plus collection Monster Hunter thing. but that couldn't have been it because there was an ebony doggo in that quest. And the PlayStation Plus connection one, the collection one, does not have Iceborne. Anyway, besides the point, I don't know how many of them were on PS5, how many of them were on PS4, but everything was pretty much seamless. There were no issues, as you guys can probably tell by the footage, and it ran great. So if you guys were curious what the game is running like on the PlayStation 5, all I can really tell you is that it was a great experience. All I really did was go into the graphical options on the main menu and set everything to favor resolution. And it was fantastic. It was actually a pretty seamless transition, which I was expecting it to be a couple more bumps along the road. I figured like the same thing that happened to me with Bloodborne, where I went in there is like stuck at 30 FPS, you know? And I'm glad that Capcom basically coded it to be able to take advantage of better hardware. As a matter of fact, I really do hope that they do a patch soon, because I feel like a lot could actually be improved to provide us with an even better experience. Like, for instance, I'm pretty sure that the PlayStation 5 would be able to work with the combined modes of resolution and graphics. So the additional particle effects coupled together with the higher resolution, I think they would probably run on the PS5 just fine. So they could probably just come up with like, oh, here's the PS5 mode, whatever, patch that in. And then at the same time, if they could take advantage of the proprietary technology for loading, then we would also have much faster loading screens. And I think that would be a pretty big deal as well. But for now, it was a pretty positive experience. Did you guys try it out yet? Were you guys curious about this? Let me know in the comment section down below. If you guys enjoyed this video, hit the like button because it really helps out. If you guys did not enjoy this video, hit the dislike button because feedback is important. If you usually enjoy my content, subscribe, bell notification icon, all that jazz. I'll see you guys in the next one. Stay strong, stay safe, peace out.